Peace, peace, everybody. Peace. I didn't go down there this weekend, and it wasn't a drumming ritual. It was an actual ritual. What I wasn't able to go, so couldn't tell you. Peace, Dan, brother Duma. Oh shit, my brother Domingo. All right, just waiting for a couple more people. We get this on and popping. So, as y'all noticed, I changed the topic a couple times this week. I just wasn't feeling the topics at that moment. But this topic came to me last night after some ritual and meditation work to do this and go over this, but from a left-hand path perspective. So today's topic is awakening your chakras and working your chakras from a left-hand path perspective. We'll go over some of the traditional paths of it, but we're going to segue it into more of the left-hand path on how to work. This nigga stupid. Be working the left-hand path, how to do your chakras or work your chakras from a left-hand path perspective. A lot of individuals are familiar with chakras, but they don't really understand or have heard about ways to work chakras on the left-hand path. That's because right now, when we think of chakras, it's been totally influenced by these new age groups. They've gotten further away from what the chakras really are, what they represent, or things of that nature. So let us begin. The book I'll be coming from tonight, one of the books I'm coming from tonight is this book, Awakening the Chakras, 7 Energy Centers in Your Daily Life by Victor Daniels and Cooch Daniels and Peter Weltevrede. All right, so this one will be coming from tonight, some part of it. The other part of it we're coming from is the Vampire Gate, Vampire Magician. Okay, we'll be coming from that as well. Those are the 2 books that we'll be utilizing this evening. If you don't have them, try to get them. So let's begin. What are the chakras? Just when and where the chakra systems originated may never truly be known. Its oldest written records date from a 1,000-year period of forest-dwelling rishis, teachings as chronicled in the Kundalini Upanishad. Whatever its origin and age, knowing of the chakra system has been passed down through generation by sage after sage. Sri Harish Johari openly transmitted its essence to the Western culture. His classic work, Chakras, Energy Centers of Transformation, is one of the most valuable resources on this subject. That's another book you need to check. It's called Chakras, Energy Centers of Transformation by Sri Harish Johari. All right, so let's continue. The Sanskrit word chakra, and hold your questions towards the end of the lecture portion, then we'll get into the actual question part. I'll go scroll back up at the end and take questions that have been already asked and then work our way back down. So the Sanskrit word chakra means wheel of light. Each chakra has a dominant function or quality and several secondary qualities, expressly portrayed as vortices or vortex of swirling energy. Each chakra is connected with specific patterns and potentials of thinking, feeling, sensing, and acting. Each one is aligned with a different consecutive point on the spine, with the first root chakra at the base of the spine and the 7th chakra at the top of the head. Chakras are an ancient system of inner awareness and reflection. Now, let's go all the way to the first root chakra. That's just a quick synopsis of what a chakra is. Most people are familiar with what chakras are. However, now we're going to get a little more in depth on the, we'll cover a couple of these chakras tonight. If we're not able to get through all 7, probably we'll only get through 3 or 4. Then we will do the rest next week or the week after. It's most likely not going to be next week, but probably the week after. But anyways, the mental pathway for working with first chakra energies. Now, I'm going to discuss the bright side of the first chakra, then the dark side. Then I'm going to go into how to work with the chakras on the left-hand path perspective. All right. The bright side of the first chakra, gifts and strengths. Responsible, confident, with the ability to get what one needs and to help others do the same. As your first chakra qualities develop in positive ways, you feel increasingly worthy, self-reliant, grounded, connected with your body, and happy to help others. You enjoy the challenge of new adventures and alternatives and are comfortable either alone or in a crowd. You are open to hearing the opinions and attitudes of others, including their political thoughts and religious beliefs. Yet, you think for yourself. All things considered, life feels good and you work forward to the future. Comfortable with your worldly reality, you hold on to outlooks and opinions that are truly valuable to you and let go of those that are not. Confident and self-determining. On the whole, your life feels fairly uncomplicated, except when inherently complex situations present themselves. When that occurs, you usually meet them head on. Dark side of the first chakra. Issues and challenges. Your search for ways to feel safe, secure, worthy, and relaxed, and strive to follow your own preferences rather than others' designs. Food, water, physical safety, clothing, shelter, work. When these essentials are lacking, most of us find life to be a challenge, or focusing on chakras to be a challenge. Even when these basic needs are met, few people completely escape the problems and complexes that impede first chakra development. Insecurities are widespread. Knowing how to live free from hang-ups about our body and emotions is rare. Fear. Fear is the most basic and pervasive first chakra issue. People in groups who want to take advantage of you in some way are experts at triggering your fears about the terrible things that will happen if you don't join them. Do as they want or send them money that will go to reducing this or that threat. First come fears of not getting your survival needs met. Then comes fears related to everything else you care deeply about. In a more general sense, if root chakra energy is discordant, a person may be self-doubting, timid, anxious, or exhausted, or may be stuck in the reptilian brain or animal nature and be selfish, greedy, or violent. Tasks, responsibilities, deadlines, and actions needed to make it through each day can seem overwhelming. Even the physically strong can get stuck in limitations. They may look for someone to tell them what to do and easily accept others as authorities over their choices. A person with basic needs that went unmet at a similar point or an earlier point in life may be insecure and afraid that their needs will never be met. As a result, for some people's ethics and decency go out the window. Actions are accomplished by selfish thoughts as well as I'll do whatever I want to do to survive. Now, what's interesting about this one is this. Everybody will tell you the beautiful side of chakras and how divine and lovely the chakras are, and they'll tell you all the positives of the first chakra or the Muladhara chakra, the root chakra. But they rarely go into the dark side of the chakra, which is what we focus on the left-hand path. And why I say that is because we focus on our strengths, no doubt. And you take those strengths and you should make them stronger. But what they don't rarely focus on individually and across the board on the right-hand path is your dark side aspect of your chakras. How it affects you, how you're being controlled by others because your root chakra is weak, how you feel you need authority figures to tell you what to do or govern your life or guide your life. All these things are affecting you. And that a lot of that has to do with your root chakra being out of whack. Now, on the dark or the left-hand path perspective, how do we look at that? How do we connect with that? All right, first of all, now I'm going to share with you how we on the left-hand path would look at chakras and define chakras and then go over the first chakra, okay? Chakras are the energy centers of the body. Each relate to specific power points in which one may utilize to grow in power. Now, as a Luciferian, a vampire, or any tradition you work or system you work with on the left-hand path, you may also focus on these to absorb energy during your vampiric workings. It is, of course, significant, however, not to harm another, as this is common against vampiric workings. In this part, we will explain the chakras in the subtle bodies. It is important to note before beginning that among psychic or energy vampires with two trains of thought in terms of predatory spiritualism, some may wish to absorb energy through the Ajna chakra, your brow chakra, and the sacral chakra, which is related more towards your navel, or sacral chakra, which is related more to the sexual chakra. So let's begin. Now, what's interesting is on the left-hand path, as opposed to modern day New Age chakra belief, people look at the chakras as going from bottom to top. Okay? Meaning you start at your root, you work to your navel, solar plexus, your heart, your throat, your brow, and your crown. On the left-hand path, particularly Luciferian or vampiric tradition, you actually work your chakras in reverse from the top down. This is what's interesting when you look at the two traditions and how they actually work it. But because we're utilizing some of the traditional ways of chakras, I'll start at the root and explain that in accordance to lining up with the way we're doing it. So chakra 1, the root chakra, also known as Taromati. It's earth, its physical identity, its material body, located at the base of the spine. This chakra forms our foundation. It represents the element earth and is therefore related to our survival instincts and to our sense of grounding and connection to our bodies and the physical plane, including our ability to rebel against monotheistic or enslaving principles, mentality, and spirituality. Now, we just discussed how on the dark side of your chakra, people can easily be enslaved or are weak-minded, where they look for others to guide them, for others to tell them what to do. They take other people's opinions more on a stronger scale than their own beliefs and opinions. So we just went over this, but on the left-hand path, you use your root chakra to rebel against the monotheistic or any enslaving spiritual system that enslave you mentally or spiritually. How do you devour? Devouring or absorbing energy. Draining or absorbing energy through touch and grasping objects. This type of vampirism is the easiest as it stimulates the nervous system early on. This is usually the first element of a practicing vampire. So when you're dealing with your root chakra on a vampiric way to work your chakra, it comes and associated more with the element of touch and feeling, okay? Touching, grasping things. This is how you take and absorb energy when you work it from this perspective. Non-devouring, self-work, okay? Focus on the antinomian aspects of self. And we already discussed the antinomian is the going against the grain mentality. It's the I am the God and I follow self mentality. Know who you are and what you wish to achieve. Spiritual energies mentally drained from people through astral contact, as well as clairvoyance, among others. The powers of transcending or elevating to the astral realm, tapping into people's dreams, and tapping into their life force energy is only best described through the experience factor. The symbol of the vampire who absorbs the life force from sleeping humans is not far removed from the astral vampire who drains life force from the sleeping human's astral body. The initiate also focuses via dream control, shape-shifting, and recording dreaming events in a magical journal. This defines the imagination in its strength and weakness. Can this be real? This is based upon discipline and belief. What would be the purpose of investing belief in such a concept? By acknowledging and affirm a concept as reality, do we make this thing a reality? It creates a foundation or view of thought within the mind. By continually striving for self-mastery and predatory spirituality, we become a part of the force we call the dragon. It answers through us, through the night side. The Luciferian, through will and practice, can shapeshift to hunt or to travel among the shadows. There can be several forms that you take: the bat, the wolf, the dragon. This is all done while you're in the astral realm. This is a mental discipline of utilizing the imagination according to one's desire, thus a high potential for magical development. So you understand the major difference between the root chakra as it's known in traditional sense and how to utilize it, how to work it, as opposed to how we work it on the left-hand path. On the left-hand path, your goal has always been and should be to, 1, master self. 2, rebel and question every authority figure that's ever presented themselves to you. 3, rebel against programming that limits you, controls you, and binds you to someone as your master and you as their servant. Religious systems that bind you to a servant mentality. Spiritual systems that bind you to a servant mentality. The weakness of the root chakra in a traditional sense is that in the darker aspect of it, we're easily able to give up our power to someone else because of self-doubt, because of insecurities, because of lack of feeling secure in our life. All these things are rooted right there in the root chakra, which is why it's connected to the earth. The earth symbolically, one of the symbols of the earth is the ground with roots coming from trees or grass going deep into the earth. The problem is a lot of individuals are not rooted in the earth. They're spooked out individuals who want to jump from the root to the crown and then turn their body into a Merkaba, travel to astral realms, okay, or go into different planets and dimensions in a Merkaba, but their shitty ass life, they have no control over. They have no control or security factor because they've never learned how to develop that. From either programming, traumatic situations that happen at youth, or even the family and friends and how they made you feel about yourself. So we jump from being so super spiritual and spookified and, oh, let me get this crystal for my root chakra because I have issues. And if I hold this crystal in my root chakra, it's going to help me become secure. No, it's not. The crystal ain't going to do shit for you. I'm just being real. Because who really activates that crystal? You do. And if you're effed up, guess what the crystal is going to emanate? It's going to emanate your effed up energy. So you can get all the crystals you want to work your root chakra. You could get all of the stones and crystals and beads and all kinds of stuff and look like a chakra fool walking down the street. You got a chakra here, you got a chakra shirt, you got it all. But you're still jacked up because you still haven't understood that unless you go into the darker aspects of yourself and really deal with that, you're always going to feel not grounded to the earth. You're always going to feel spooked out and spacey. These are your individuals who, if you go onto Facebook, you go onto Instagram, you go onto any of social media, are constantly telling you about, I'm healing. I'm healing. Oh, brothers and sisters, I am on a healing quest right now. I must heal myself completely. 6 months later, the fool comes back, or they periodically come in and out, and guess what? The fool is still healing. Well, goddamn, how much healing you gonna do if you ain't? I mean, are you bragging? Are you trying to get attention? Or are you really doing the work? Because from my experience, if you truly healing, it's more of a subtle experience, and it's more of a private experience. You really don't go broadcasting this to everybody. This is why I call those people attention whores that constantly have to tell you they're healing. Every year it's a healing thing. Well, shit, you wouldn't have to keep healing if you learn how to close the door for the shit you keep letting in that keeps messing you up. And the reason why you keep opening the door is because you still got these traumatic issues that leads to your insecurities, that leads to your self-loathing, that leads to your self-doubt, that leads to all of these issues that manifested themselves. You still keep opening the door. So this is why every 6 months or twice a year, you feel you got to heal from something or someone. Stop opening the door, fool. And you wouldn't have to keep healing. You get that. You focus on what you have to heal on. And once you heal it, you get that. You got it now. Now you keep moving. That doesn't mean issues will not pop up. They will, but you will better learn how to handle that because you learn to do the work to understand how to control those things. So you don't go running and jumping from, I was just Christian to Spookville and I want to travel the galaxies. And I'm so super spiritual that I'm going to build my Merkaba, my body of light. Get the fuck out of here. This is the craziness that happens in today's society. Because we have these new agers who spooktified all these ancient traditions and mixed and matched all this craziness, and you're getting far away from it. Far, far away from it. So what happens is now we get this crazy imbalanced type of mentality that you're seeing in people. Look, I went on Facebook recently to try to open up my business page. But of course, you have to open up a personal page to get a business page. I lasted 3 days because of stupidity I just cannot deal with. I had been away from Facebook for 4 years. Came back, it's the same stupid Negroes that was saying the same stupid thing 4 years ago, 3 years ago, basically doing the same crap. No progression, no nothing. Everybody wants to be so super educated, so super conscious. I've read 1,000 books, so have I. But it comes a point in time when you put the damn book down, you actually apply and do some work to cause a shift and change in your root chakra. Now, from a left-hand path perspective, you do all the things necessary to empower yourself. So you go deep into your dark side of your chakra. You deal deep with those insecurities, those traumas, those issues, and you learn to confront them. If I have an issue that I need attention, I learn to confront that part of myself. Okay, why do I need attention? Why is it that I feel like I constantly have to broadcast that I'm doing this or that? Oh, I'm at the movies. Oh, I'm taking a shower. Oh, I'm taking a shit. And you're on social media actually doing this shit. Why do you feel you constantly have to tell the world what you're doing? Oh, is it because you need attention? Well, then maybe you should focus on where this lack of attention and your need for it comes from. And once you go back to that point of origin, now when you discover that, you can start doing the work. the serious work. You'll understand what caused you, or how this attentionness, affectionness, and all these things you seek popped up, became extreme. Once you go back to that moment, you understand it. Here's the second part that happens, though. You can rewrite the story where you got what you needed, which caused a different shift in your programming of your subconscious mind. You can create a new story instead of when you were seeking attention as a youth and you didn't get it. You can actually go back into that time, to that very moment, and rewrite the story where you did get attention, and watch the shift slowly but surely start to occur. It's not going to just smack you in the face all the time. Sometimes it happens subtly, very subtly, and eventually you'll take note. Wow, I am really feeling and thinking differently than I did 2 years ago. But we try to force these things and push it through and not ever really focus on the parts of ourselves that we should be focusing on. We're so caught up in doing all this super magical work, trying to be the top-notch Harry Potter, that the real magic begins when you shift your consciousness, your unconsciousness, and your subconscious. That's when the real magical work begins. Anybody, I could tell you right now, you could do Wiccan, you could do any type of magic you want to manifest some finances. You can do it in any magical system. It's not hard. It just takes will, desire, and intent. It's not hard. So you could use any system to manifest mostly anything externally. But very few systems can take you, or paths can take you into working the darker shadow aspect of yourself that really needs the transformation. Okay? Sometimes some of y'all are hardwired differently. Sometimes because you're hardwired differently, you think differently, you operate differently. So this is why I go into the left-hand path perspective of the chakras from a vampiric and Luciferian perspective of self-mastery and also absorbing energy. Because some of y'all need energy and don't even realize that you're drained physically, constantly fatigued, and things of that nature. You could eat the healthiest you want. You could be super vegan, raw food master, and you still find yourself a little drained. It really won't have nothing to do with that. It's the fact that you're hardwired differently. So you should be learning how to absorb or drain the prana, drain the chi, drain these different life force energies. Learn how to drain or absorb it within you. Some of you all need that. You can check yourself and say, wow, I've been eating super healthy, detoxing, and all this stuff, but I still feel drained. You just might be hardwired differently, where you should be tapping into this life force energy that is all around you, not just in people, but all around you. You should check yourself. If that's a reality, you might need to start doing things differently. Because if you don't, it's going to catch up to you. All right? And if it catches up to you, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. All right, the pathway of spirit, imagery in the first chakra. All right, just let's go back to the traditional aspect for a second. The square, the lotus petals, and the seed sound. Now, when you look at the root chakra, you see its symbolism. Okay, symbolism of the root chakra. It's usually a four-petal lotus. All right, it has a triangle in it, and it has a Sanskrit letter in it, and a square in it. Looking at the picture of the first chakra, we find an abstract symbol representing the element of this chakra, earth, where it all starts. And that is a square with 4 directions, north, south, east, and west. Since ancient times, we have needed maps to travel on earth. Most are composed of many squares. They are not the reality they supposedly represent, since the earth is round, but we only use a flat square from when traveling. Now, let me tell you something. The next mother effer who tells me that the earth is flat, I'm going to ask them, have you ever traveled on a fucking plane? Okay? Because I can tell you, I went all the way from Asia, all the way over the North Pole, okay? All the way down, back down into New York. I'm just saying, all these fools who keep saying the earth is flat, they're really ignorant ass people. That's all I got to say. They ain't never been on a plane, most of that. Okay, so this is why the square has been traditionally used, but it really is not representative of an earth. The earth is round, but it's representative of 4 points or 4 directions, which to our mind is easier understood in a square. All right. They are not the reality. Wait, I did that part. The first step is to realize that Earth provides all that we need. Well, it should provide all that we need, but today's world, how much they jack shit up, it's not always the case. Earth is like a foundation on which everything happens. That is why contemplative meditation on this chakra can help us to become more grounded. In India, it is also said that sleeping with feet toward the south or sitting facing south should be avoided. Again, fucking spookism. Anyways, this has to do with the magnetic field of Earth. Now, listen, I understand the magnetic field of Earth, and all you super conscious Negroes are gonna tell me, yeah, but the magnetic field of Earth. Listen, if you understand you're a God, and you from your subjective realm can affect the objective realm, then you understand that you can manipulate energy, even magnetic energy, the way you choose to. Now, if you want to keep being a slave to all these, what do you call it, earthly forces or astral forces or everything else, continue, go right ahead. But if you understand the fact that you're a God and a God can actually manipulate anything from the mind, because before there was magnetic forces, the mind existed. The mind is all is mind. So if your mind is strong enough, you can actually bend these rules that we've been given for nature and the universe. You don't believe it? That's your choice. By experience, those who've done it, they've traveled the astral realm, they understand how you can actually bend these forces. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and argue with people who want to allow themselves to be limited by anything and everything. So, again, some of this stuff is superstitious. I'm just sharing some of it. But when we get to points of superstition, I'm going to say something about it. All right? The seed of the sound of the element earth is lang, which is basically said like lang. When pronounced correctly, it will cause energy to inwardly flow in an upward movement. This is important. This part right here is important, right? Like really important, because this ties into how to actually work and activate the Kundalini. So this little section right here is very important. Let me repeat again. The seed sound of the element earth is lang, pronounced lang. When pronounced correctly, it will cause energy to inwardly flow in an upward movement and vibrate the 2 hemispheres of the brain. It also affects nerve endings in the area of the first chakra. La represents the earth, and Ng or Nig is the mind. When chanted together, they can bring the energy up. The pillars for life on earth are air, water, food, sleep, and sex. Our body and mind are running on these forces. To attain a more harmonious life, we need to get them under control, under your control as your own master. This strengthens our willpower, our ability to set a goal, and live to accomplish that goal. Don't just set a goal, but see it through from beginning to fulfillment. See it through. I know some people who have so many goals. Every year is more goals on top of the old goals, and they haven't accomplished one goal yet, which tells me that they have a discipline issue. They're not very committed to what they say is their goals, which means they're not really vested in it and really don't believe in their goal. Okay, you should have short-term goals and long-term goals that you should try to apply and live towards daily. Daily. Okay? So you should be making a list of your short-term goals and long-term goals, and then put it somewhere you can visually see every day, and ask yourself, what, at the end of the day, ask yourself, what did I do today? What did I do today to get closer to that goal? If you didn't do shit, you don't have a right to complain or talk crap. If you didn't do shit to accomplishing those short-term or long-term goals, you should shut the hell up and stop complaining. Okay? Every day you should do something to get towards those goals. These are all this stuff we're going over is based upon the root chakra, and we're already done wasted like 40 minutes. So I could tell you already, we're only going to probably do one more chakra and then open it up for questions. So it's going to probably be a 3-part series, because I wanted to go into the actual dealing with some of the Kundalini perspective. I don't know if we're going to get there. Anyways. To attain a harmonious life, we need to get them under control. This strengthens our willpower, our ability to set a goal and persevere until we attain it. Strengthens your willpower. Ask yourself right now, all of y'all listening, how is your willpower? I'm not asking you to answer for me. I'm asking you to answer for yourself. How is your willpower? And be brutally honest with yourself. Please do not lie to yourself. Okay? How strong is your willpower? Have you accomplished the goal that you set out to do in 2017? And what are the unfinished goals from 2017? Now, that's just last year. Now let's go into this year. We're going into the 10th month already. Jeez, it just feels like 2018 just started and we're already in the 10th month. Next week will be tomorrow's the 10th month. All right, which really don't make sense because October is actually 8, but it's the 10th month. Go figure how they play with the calendar, right? However, 10 months. We're almost at the end of this year. What goals have you accomplished in 2018? I did 2017. What goals have you accomplished in 2018? Please, people, tell me. Don't tell me. I'm just saying that loosely. Ask yourself and then tell yourself, what goals have I accomplished? If you haven't accomplished a lot of your goals you set out this year, what's the problem? I tell you what the problem is your root chakra is all out of order. You're not grounded in reality. You're probably in Spookville somewhere. And you have no concept or idea of what really pledged you. And you have no concept or idea of how to become a master over yourself. Which means, instead of trying to worry about your third eye opening, you need to worry about your root chakra. I can tell you right now, there's about 1,001 videos if you punch in third eye, or third eye chakra, or any of those things on YouTube. There's probably over 1,000, 500,000, whatever videos that will pop up. Everybody wants to talk about the third eye and the ajna and all this shit. Everybody wants to open up that third eye, and my pineal gland vibrates, and calcified pineal gland. Listen, fool. Y'all worried about the wrong thing right now. You really are. What you should be focusing on is mastering this earthly plane that you live in, the physical plane. I hear so many people worried about astral projection, and they still ain't even learned how to freaking project themselves to stay stationary and grounded on this earth. It's all right. You can do the astral thing, but when you're done with that, don't forget, you coming back to the physical. And your physical is where you remain in this physical body until your physical body ceases to exist. So you should be learning how to master the physical and stop worrying so much about these extracurricular things that are not about mastering self while you're here in this physical plane. Sure, you can learn Merkaba, you can do all these things, but what sense does it make if you Merkaba yourself to death and you wake up every day and your house is shitty, you live in a shitty neighborhood, you got hardly any food to feed your kids, you're working 4 or 5 jobs just to get ahead? Deal with reality, folks. If you master yourself, all these things start to fall into place. Your physical life will start to reflect that you've done the work to master that root chakra. Your physical life will take a turn that will reflect that. You'll start getting better jobs or start getting your own business or things of that nature. But we get so caught up in this whatever. So anyways, this strengthens our willpower, our ability to set goal and persevere until we attain it. In the first chakra, the main concentration is on food. Food, food, food. One thing melanated people love to do is we love to eat. We love to eat. I don't give a damn if you vegan. Your ass still eating something. Okay? Now, not saying that you want to do this, but y'all should try for learning how to discipline yourself, at least fasting once a month for at least 12 hours or 24 hours. You should try fasting at least once a month for 12 hours or 24 hours to learn mastery or discipline over the body, to learn how to master the body. You should. And it will show you that you have more control over eating than you really realize. You eat a lot of times for pleasure and not for sustenance. Or as Elijah Muhammad said, people live to eat and not eat to live. Right? The four lotus petals around the square at the center represent the 4 mental modifications that belong to this chakra. Pay attention. 4 mental modifications. These are the state of great joy, state of natural pleasure, satisfaction with control of passions, and blissfulness and concentration. These are the energies of the divinities connected to each petal. Opening the petals and connecting with their energy provides a strong foundation for continuing our journey through the chakras. In the other chakras, we will confront many more mental modifications. Each of the lotus petals also has a seed sound. They are Vang, Shang, Kashang, and Sang. Starting with the petal pointing to the right and moving clockwise. Okay? So understand that. Now, I'm going to share this part with you. This is really good practice for you all who really want to really master this chakra. Seed sound breathing. Inhale deeply, and then let the second sound emerge as you exhale. Do this quietly in your mind. With your next breath, carry the resonance of the seed sound to the root of your spine. Listen with your inner ear to hear its tone and feel its vibration. Now take an empty breath, then verbally repeat the seed sound loud enough to hear it with your outer ears. We just discussed the seed sound as lang, which is related to the element earth. Okay? Now, this was first chakra visualization with seed sounds. Start by visualizing the 4 lotus petals around the small central square. After looking at the 4 lotus petals, close your eyes and try to see them in your mind. Then you can add the square that they surround. Where you are doing this visualization, you can also chant the seed sound of the element earth, which is lang. Then chant the seed sounds of the lotus petals vang, shang, kashang, and sang. Utter each sound while visualizing its petal, moving clockwise, starting with the 1 point to the right. And then ask yourself, do you feel a difference as you utter each one? Now, Ganesha or Ganesh or Ganesha is related to the root chakra. Ganesha is the elephant-headed Devi or god of India. He is sitting in a full lotus pose at the bottom of the square. With the tip of his crown in a small square, Ganesha is sometimes referred to as the Lord of all existing beings. Once he was asked to go around the universe as fast as he could. He said that was a very simple request. Then he went around his parents, Shiva and Shakti. They are the essence of all existence, which is the truth. Here, Ganesha showed that he is not distracted by the outside world and sees only truth. Even if one does not see the truth and acts against it, the truth remains the truth. By accepting the form of Ganesha, who also symbolizes teaching and learning, our artistic right brain gets more freedom, which can start moving our energy upward. Ganesha is very approachable, but at the same time has the quality of wisdom. He is invoked at the beginning of any undertaking, worldly or spiritual. If we cooperate, we will remove some of the obstacles in our path to truth. To see this short, pot-bellied figure with elephant head as a deity is challenging to our rational and analytical left brain. Children have no problem with him and just love him, but for the rational mind of many adults, he seems difficult to accept. Meditation on Ganesha, on him, will give us the firmness we need on our journey. With one of his 4 hands, he is blessing us and grants us fearlessness in whatever we undertake. With his second hand, he holds the hatcher with which he can control our elephant of desires, our sense and work organs. With the lasso in another hand, he frees us from the bondage to worldly attachments. With the latter, a sweet made of chickpea flour, he shows his sattvic, pure, clear nature. So now, let's go to the second chakra. It's taking a lot longer than I thought. Second chakra, the Savadhisthana chakra, the passion chakra, also known as the sexual chakra. In the second chakra, imagination is stimulated. You seek entertainment and sensory pleasure, enjoy family and friends, and express creativity. Since Tantra accepts desire as the prime motivating force of the universe, it does not ask its aspirants to renounce desire. Other spiritual sciences advise the avoidance of desire. Yet one is left with the paradox that to achieve desirelessness, one must have a strong desire to be desirelessness. A person's psyche is strongly influenced and conditioned by the quality of the object of his or her desire. And as we went over a couple weeks ago, the first step in cis sorcery is desire, which is connected to your second chakra. All right, so keep that in mind, that your desire is really emanating more so from your second chakra. All right. So, second, the key phrases are procreation, sensuality, sexuality, emotion, pleasure, family, fantasies. Physical location is your pelvis and genital region. Endocrine gland, testicles, or ovaries. Your astrological link is Mercury. I forgot to say that in the first one, your astrological link is Mars. All right. Day of the week is Wednesday. Element is water. Sense is taste. Sanskrit derivations. Sva, self. Adhisthana, dwelling place. Massage. Great place to massage to stimulate that flow of that energy in the chakra is your thighs, your buttocks, and pelvis. Yeah. I definitely like to anyway, that's another story. All right. The essence of the second chakra, joy, fantasy, and desire. Located in the pelvic region, this chakra is most often linked with sexual energy and fantastic cosmic lovemaking. At least in the West, that's the widespread stereotype of second energy in Tantra yoga is commonly regarded as the art of sacred sexuality. All right. Now, within narrowly defined limits, this perception is accurate, but is also just one aspect of a larger picture. In Living with the Himalayan Masters, Swami Rama writes, according to the science of Tantra, male and female are two principles of the universe called Shiva and Shakti. These two principles exist within each individual. There are three main schools of Tantra. There's Kaula, Mishra, and Samaya. The Kaulists, or left-handed Tantras, worship Shakti. Okay? This left-hand path of Tantra was also associated with Vama Marga. Okay? They worship Shakti, and their way of worship involves external rituals, including sexual practices. Laymen often misuse this path. In the Mishra, mixed or combined school, inner worship is combined with external practices. The latent Kundalini forces awakened and led to the Anahata chakra, the heart center, where it is worship. The Samaya, or the right-hand path, is purely yoga. It has nothing to do with any ritual or any form of worshiping involving sex. Meditation is the key on that path. Both the right-handed and left-handed tantric paths acknowledge the spark of the universal life force, the divine presence in each and every person and living being. But the left-handed path of Tantra also includes making meditative and yogic practices central components of lovemaking. This means overcoming the traps of fantasies and physical desire to the second chakra that may spark feelings of envy, jealousy, and possessiveness that deplete emotional energy. It also means striving to develop joy, seeing the divine in human and other living forms, and devoting yourself to realizing the oneness of humanity. Viewed through this lens, the second chakra becomes a temple for honoring the purity of sensual desires, creative thinking, and a channel for moving energy toward higher states of consciousness. Okay. Now, this part is really important because when we go into left-hand path of Tantra, let me go over this. This is coming from Demons of the Flesh, the book called Demons of the Flesh. If you don't have it, it's a good book to get. Essential principles of the left-hand path. Far from being the vague catch-all one might at first imagine due to so many decades of misuse in the West, the phrase left-hand path is very specific in its precise meaning, which will become apparent when we examine the original Sanskrit phrase Vama Marga, from which it is translated, and yet despite this clear definition attested to by well over 1,000 years of continuous use in India, the historical reality of the left-hand path is commonly ignored in favor of modern fantasies that bear almost no resemblance to the facts. To begin the task of correcting some of the distorted perceptions caused by this state of affairs, we must address the left-hand path on its own terms by cleaving as closely as possible to traditional sources. This method steers clear of the fashionable postmodern deconstructionism, so beloved of contemporary academics on one hand, and the equally obfuscatory muddle-headedness of the typical occultist on the other. Both camps have played their part in obscuring the true meaning of the left-hand path's erotic gnosis. All right, so in essence, the left-hand path is the transformation of human consciousness to divine consciousness by the manipulation of the sexual occurrence of the physical and subtle bodies through erotic rites. Let me say that again because I think I butchered that shit. In essence, the left-hand path is number one, the transformation of human consciousness to divine consciousness by the Let me try this one more time. The transformation of human consciousness to divine consciousness via the manipulation of the sexual occurrence of the physical and subtle bodies through erotic rites. I got it. For the male initiate, this sexual gnosis traditionally attained with the collaboration of a female consort initiatrix. I'm having a problem pronouncing words tonight again. God damn it. All right. The female sexual initiatrix is the presiding source of the left-hand path. The motive energy of the sinister current flows directly from her. During the ritualized sexual act, something more than ordinary intercourse occurs. A magical exchange takes place, a transference of power transmitted through the subtle vehicles of desire, attraction, and erotic fusion. So you understand that when you're practicing left-hand path Tantra, Vama Marga, it is essential that you focus on bringing harmony to the root chakra, and as well as has worked on your sacral or navel chakra and bringing harmony to that. And your partner should also have done the same thing. It's not a free-for-all, just primal bestial type of sex. It's a work in progress and work to be accomplished before the two come together. All right. I'll repeat that again. During the ritualized sexual act, something more than ordinary intercourse occurs. A magical exchange takes place. A transference of power transmitted through the subtle vehicles of desire, attraction, and erotic fusion. Together, the couple celebrates a cult of ecstasy, which has no less an aim than their own self-deification. Something of the crucial importance of sexuality to the left-hand path can be gleaned from the fact that the defining difference between the left-hand path and the far more commonly practiced right-hand path is primarily the emphasis on physical sexuality found in the former, and the absence of the same in the latter. Although the left-hand path focuses much of its attention on the physical interplay of erotic polarities embodied in male and female sexuality, it is concerned with ecstatic transcendence of all seeming opposites, including good and evil, death and life, darkness and light, flesh and spirit, the beautiful and the hideous, ad infinitum. So eventually, on this path, when you're working left-hand path Tantra, Vama Marga, which most people traditionally here in the West have done right-hand path Tantra or a mixture of both, but it's usually leaning more to the right hand. You actually partake in physical action, but your goal is to transcend all seeming illusory opposites, polarities, duality, good, evil, death, life, dark, light, flesh, spirit, all that stuff. Your whole goal is to transcend that. Okay? To transcend beyond the limited perception that we have as human beings. That's the number one and utmost important goal of the left-hand path, Vamamarga, of sexuality. Okay? A sexual exaltation of the female principle. Number 2, left-hand path, a sexual exaltation of the female principle of power in the universe, known in Sanskrit as Shakti. The universal feminine mystique, which we will sometimes refer to in its transcultural aspect as the feminine demonic, is the driving factor for both male and female initiates of the left-hand path. For male magicians, left-hand path initiation includes the attainment of this feminine power within themselves through a complex system of bodily disciplines, including sexual congress. Understand that. It's learning how to bring, activate, and harmonize the feminine energy as a man, the feminine energy within yourself. This is very important to understand. It's not so much worshiping the female externally, although that plays a role itself if you choose to do that. It's more worshiping the female within yourself and bringing active awareness and active energy to that perspective and learning how to harmonize it within yourself. The female initiate strives to become more fully, the female initiate strives to more fully become the vehicle of the feminine demonic. In effect, she is at once the priestess of Shakti, the intermediary between the sacred power and the world of visible appearances, as well as an incarnation of the multiform goddess Shakti herself. It is important to point out early in our survey that this feminine principle exalted in the left-hand path is not the social role of a woman as self-sacrificing, passive wife and fertile mother figure honored by conventional religions. That's the bullshit. That's what we've been programmed to believe, this docile, stay-at-home mom, wife, whatever kind of figure. That's not really what this is activating. It's activating more of that demonic, feminine, sexual, warrior type energy within females, but also finding it within yourself as a man. Okay, this is why Shakti, one of the forms of Shakti is Kali, which is why Kali is emphasized on Vamamarga and walking the left-hand path, okay, of Tantra. Kali is essential to that because it activates that awareness within self as a man and definitely helps activate that awareness within a woman, especially if she's been suppressed, controlled, or any kind of thing by family, society, religion, or even men that she's been with in the past, okay? But neither does the Vamamarga comply with contemporary feminist model of reality that considers all women to be victimized saints and all men to be lecherous demons. Though Shakti harkens back to the now suppressed archaic understanding of essential women as holy warriors, divine huntress, and sacred sexuality, the feminine principle sought by left-hand path initiates ultimately transcends women as a natural phenomenon altogether, venturing into the non-natural shadow side of her power. Number 3, initiation through the deliberate violation of deep-seated external social and internal personal taboos, the individual separation from tribal normative values and a radical inversion of any convention and orthodoxy of every kind. A traditional proverb of the Tantric Vamamarga sums this principle up succinctly. Through the very deed through which humans for hundreds of millions of kalpas burn in hell, through exactly that deed is the yogi liberated. Let me repeat that again. Through the very deed which humans for hundreds of millions of kalpas burn in hell, through exactly that deed is the yogi liberated. Another way to say that is you do the opposite of what society, religion, or tradition tells you. As George Orwell wrote in his 1984, in his book 1984, orthodoxy means not thinking, not needing to think. Orthodoxy is unconsciousness. In this sense, the left-hand path represents deliberate heresy against the dominant culture of the practitioner, whatever that culture may be. A breaking of sleepwalking orthodoxy in favor of fully conscious state of wide-awake being. Left-hand path initiation, however, cannot be limited to a merely intellectual break with the herd animal man. As the proverb above makes clear, these transgressions must be deeds, physical actions taken in the real world to truly affect self-transformation. It is not only what the left-hand path initiate thinks that situates him or her in this sinister current, it is what he or she does. The left-hand path is a way of action, not intellectual contemplation, or worse yet, reading about action. This last part right here, my friends, is talking about this conscious community crap. Now, I'm going for that specific purpose to repeat it again. It is not only what the left-hand path initiate thinks that situates him or her in a sinister current. It is what he or she does. The left-hand path is a way of action. You take action on the left-hand path. Okay? You must initiate action. You must initiate challenges. You must initiate things that you've been putting off. You have to initiate getting involved with it. Okay? It is not about thinking, it's about what you do. It's not intellectual contemplation, or worse yet, reading about the action. It is about being actively participating in the things that you've read. You can read 1,000 books, but if you don't actively practice it and participate in it, you're just thinking a different way, possibly, but you're still being the same person in action. So you're really defeating the purpose. All right. 2 more, and I'll finish up this root, and then we take questions. Number 4, essentially elitist in that it must be chosen, is not suited for all dispositions and does not come naturally. It is directed to the individual consciousness, unrelated to collective identity as a social creature or being subject to divine or natural law. Although the modern world is based on democratic notions of full disclosure to all, the sinister current, wherever it has manifested, is based on a proposition that some things can only be communicated to certain individuals at the right time and under the right circumstances. Meaning, it's done by mouth to ear, and it's not always taught. All of it is not always given publicly, which is why some of the things, like when we do rituals down in Miami, we don't talk about it publicly. We'll go over some of the concepts or ideas that may be presented in a ritual, but we will never disclose it publicly. It is something you have to experience for yourself, and it is experienced by being in the moment, actively participating. Which is why people who swear they have all the knowledge in the world are fooling themselves, because there's things that will never be revealed in a book. It is only revealed from mouth to ear or being participating in the action of it, or ritual of it, or being initiated, or whatever the case may be. You don't have to be all the time, but sometimes you may want to take that path if you choose to. You don't have to, but if you choose to for your own personal growth, so be it. The left-hand path is closed to the common man or woman, who is regarded as little more than herd animal. In Sanskrit, they call that pashu. The sinister current is considered fit only for the temperament of the heroic warrior or warrioress. Sanskrit vira, or divine Sanskrit divya, individual. Initiation on the left-hand path always begins with an understanding that all human beings are born into nature as herd animals. The ultimate left-hand path goal of awakenings, which is bodhana, occurs through exerting a rigorous effort against an innate low level of consciousness, or supta, or sleep, which is regarded as the natural condition of the human animal. The the awakening is realized through a discipline of mental and physical control, sexual rights, taboo breaking, and exaltation of the feminine demonic, allowing the initiate to sunder the fetters, binding the beast. Through this process, the Vammamarga adept becomes heroic, that is to say, freed from the conditioning that binds the common human being and experiences reality directly. However, this sought for coming into being as a hero does not mean that the left-hand path initiate seeks the approval or validation of society he or she lives within. On the contrary, by the time the hero or heroine has crossed all boundaries binding his or her consciousness, it is very likely that those still bound by conventional morality may regard the left-hand path adept as an ignominious villain. Lastly, a method of initiation that actively embraces this life, this world, this physical realm, this body as the means to illumination and awakening. The left-hand path is not a route of escapism from reality, but a confrontation with the full totality of physical and psychic existence, encompassing pleasure and joy, as well as horror and mortality. Left-hand path explicitly rejects the practice of abstinence, asceticism, self-denial, and the traditional contempt for matter that typifies the majority of spiritual methods in West and East. You hear me? We explicitly reject the practice of abstinence, asceticism, self-denial, and the traditional contempt for matters that typifies the majority of spiritual methods in West and East. The exclusively otherworldly concerns of the typical Swami or Maharishi known to the West in recent decades is alien to the sinister current. Although the left-handed gnosis expands human consciousness to divine states of being outside the constraints of time and nature, this is not a path that leads to some nebulous elsewhere in the great beyond. One of the mysteries of the left-hand path is that elsewhere is right here in your own body. So the sinister way aims for liberation in this lifetime and in this initiate's current physical body, rather than an afterlife state or via reincarnation. The sense of urgency is in marked contrast to the almost infinite time accorded and recommended by most Eastern methods of initiation. Okay. Now let's finish up. Last two little parts here. The mental pathway for working with second chakra energy, the bright side of second chakra, gifts and strength, enjoyment of life, being guided by appropriate emotion, maintaining positive relationship, being one's true self. The dark side of the second chakra, issues and challenges, fear of engaging people, giving up your own desires and inclinations in order to please others, excessive need for validation or adulation, lacking purpose, jealousy, and envy. Now, if you have any of these dark side aspects of your second chakra, you fear engaging with people, which means you have social anxiety. You give up your own desires and inclinations in order to please others, meaning you have desires, goals, ideas, things like that, but you far readily give it over to somebody else and see their goals accomplished rather than your own. You're always seeking validation from someone or somehow. This turns to people who have diarrhea of the mouth and constantly want to talk, try to prove a point that really has nothing to do with what they're talking about. Or they constantly want your attention. They always want your attention to validate, wow, you really are working on healing yourself. Yeah, that. And you lack purpose. And you may have problems with jealousy and envy. Okay? Now, on the left-hand path perspective, the second chakra is also related to this. The sacral chakra, or the Ashima, or Aishma, water is identified with water, emotional identity, and instinct oriented to self-gratification. The second chakra located in the abdomen, lower back, and sexual organs related to the element water and to the emotions, wrath, and sexuality. If you're going to absorb or devour energy, you do this through sexual contact or from the elevation of the black and red serpents. The red serpent being the feminine, the black serpent being the masculine. Now, some of y'all may not realize that, some of y'all may. The red serpent sits on the right side of your base. The black serpent sits on your left side. Wait, hold on. No, I said that wrong. Sorry. The red serpent sits on your left, and the black serpent sits on your right at the base. When they reach the crown, the bindu, through the third eye in the crown, or the brow chakra in the crown, they switch polarities. This is why the feminine is the right brain and the masculine is the left brain. But the masculine begins on the right at the base of the spine, and the right brain feminine begins on the left. She's the red serpent, the masculine is the black serpent. All right? So, draining through sexual contact or from the elevation of the black and red serpents, sexual vigor and dreaming projection. Example, a succubus, an incubi. Focus on your sexual attraction towards your target. Okay? Think of the horrifying form you would take or the most dazzling, handsome, or sexy form you will take before you visit them in their dream sleep. Once you have done this, visualize this before sleep and imagine yourself flying out in that form. Non-devouring work, the self-work, the vigor and prowess, instinctual drive, knowledge of self, and emotions therein. Now, that's a mouthful. Now, whoever said the Giants need to listen to this, I'm hating on you. I'm hating. No, I'm just playing. The Giants got me pissed off. Can't protect Eli, you can't score. That's what happens. Yes, Duma, it is on. Is it not? Demons of the Flesh book is on Scrib for all those who have membership to Scrib. If you don't, you should have it. $8.99 a month. But let me tell you why it's beneficial. It's beneficial because of this. You get to preview books, and you can download a lot of PDF documents of books that are rare to find sometimes, or you just want to have on hand. But it's good because it allows you to preview a book. A lot of times you can find a book on there, you can read the whole thing to decide if you really want to have it in your library or not. So this saves you money. You guys ever bought a book and afterwards you said, what the freak did I just spend my money on this piece of shit? Well, on Scrib, you can actually, Scrib or Scribe, however you want to pronounce it. The company says Scrib. However, I used to say Scribe. You ever spent that money on a book and you were pissed off after? Well, this saves you that money. You get to preview, read the whole book, and then say, I don't need it, but I read it, so I got some kind of knowledge from it. And you can highlight the book, and you can actually copy and make notes from it of things that are important to you. But you're not wasting that $20, it's $15, or $30, whatever you would. You're actually saving. And then the books that you feel after you read, I have to have this in my library, bingo, you get it. You feel me? Trina Hart. It's called Demons of the Flesh. The name of the book is called Demons of the Flesh. And the author of the book is Nicholas Schreck. Like Shrek, but it's spelled differently. And Zena Schreck. It's a husband and wife who wrote this. And it's Demons of the Flesh, the complete guide to left-hand path sex magic. Okay? It's a must-have, especially if this path is for you and you're walking it. APR Frank, the book Demons of the Flesh is in script. You can find a PDF copy of it in script. All right. Now, let me scroll up. I don't see too many questions here, but let's see. That's right, Andre Polk. Self-awareness, self is what you need. No stone or crystal can activate your chakra without you doing the self-work that is necessary. Of course, Trina, that's not my flavor. I just tried to do it for my business. I saw the prices and the things they were asking and how to promote. Listen, you're paying $20, $40, $50 for a 3-day promotion? Nah, this is not even worth it, dude. Sorry. Not even worth it. Anyway, let's see. That's right. In the movie, The Never-Ending Story, he actually had to go all the way almost to the end of the story to rewrite it and begin a whole new story. Yes, October 31st, y'all can be in Spookville for the day. The day, if you choose. But on November 1st and 2nd, we're going to be doing work to honor the dead. All right? The spirits of the deceased, because that's the days of the dead, especially working with Baun Samedi, Santa Muerte, things of that nature. All right, demons of the flesh. Okay, how do you give the jinn a vessel to rest it? Well, almost like the genie in movies, how they gave him almost looked like a tea kettle sometimes, but it's that same concept. You have to bind them to something that you feel is important to you. Like, for example, I have a ring. I didn't wear it today, but I have a ring that has a horned, vampiric-looking individual on it. So what you do is, after you do your ritual, your evocation, you then bind the demon to your ring. By the evocation, you will bind it to your ring. Now, a good book to get for that, shit, I left it in the back. Damn it. You could get the book Jinn Magic by Bao Cadman. That's a good book, and I'll give you the title. I'll email you the title of the other book. I just left it in the back. I don't feel like walking back there. And actually in there, it tells you how to actually do the whole binding ritual. But the way I do it is I first summon the spirit or the jinn. Okay, but to summon the jinn, you must contact the king of the jinn. There's 7 kings of the jinn. Okay, each king is responsible for certain kind of activity, certain kind of knowledge, certain kind of events. You have to evoke the king first, and then you, through the king, you tell the king what kind of work you're trying to accomplish. The king will then connect you with one of those jinn that are under his dominion that he sends to work with you. While that jinn is working with you, you bind them into your ring, your whatever, your pot, whatever you have, you bind them to that. And that's where they stay until they do the work. But the thing is, do not forget they're there, because when jinn, if you forget they're there and you bind them too long, when you do release them again, all hell can break loose. Sexual repression is definitely, my brother Old Soul, is definitely related to the sexual chakra. The second chakra is definitely related to that. And one of the reasons is because this is a lot of your sexual energy is rooted there. And because it's rooted there, what happens is we tend to hold a lot of our sexual energy there by repression or programming or controlling or guilt or whatever the case may be. You hold that energy there, but whenever you hold energy in place too long, understand this. If you hold something in a bottle like this, let's say you hold soda in a bottle like this for too long, right? And before you pick it up, you shake it a little bit. It's going to come out or gush out. It's pretty much how your sexual energy is. You're holding it in place, binding it in place through repression, through guilt, through all these program ideas of what sex is or isn't, what we should or should not do based upon somebody else's religion, somebody else's philosophy, somebody else's concept. And once you hold it there too long, it's going to find a way to try to come out. When it does come out, but you're not controlling it, meaning you're not controlling it by actively trying to overcome your blockages, your obstacles, or your perception of what sex is or isn't, then when it comes out, it's going to come out in an adverse way. It doesn't always mean it will. It just means it can come out in a very absurd way or very detrimental way, and can make you act out in an aggressive way that could be detrimental to you, okay? So you have to keep that in mind when you're working this, okay? You have to understand that sexual energy has to flow just like anything else, okay? The smooth movement and flow of sexual energy leads to a better, healthy quality of life. It also leads to freeing the blockages and obstacles that you have, or the program negative mentality you have towards sexuality. So it's very important that you understand that and that you deal with that and come out of that. Okay, find a way to really focus on how do you deal with your repressed sexuality. Ask yourself, first and foremost, what are my opinions or views or perception about sex? Were you made to feel guilty about masturbating when you were young? Okay, ask yourself that. Were you made to feel embarrassed because you touched your wee-wee when you were little? Okay, you have to really ask yourself these things. And that actually can still be affecting you today if those feelings are still there, or those thoughts and programming is still there, can actually be affecting you today in how you actually view your sexuality. Not only that, but how you view yourself sexually, how you view your body sexually, how you view your sexual organs sexually, things of that nature. If you can't embrace every aspect and part of yourself, then that repression is going to become worse in time, and it can be very detrimental to you. Any other questions? Now, as you see, we only got through 2 chakras. I have 5 more chakras to go. Okay. And at the same time, we're going to go further into the left-hand path, Tantra Bhama Marga. We're going to go further into that. So if you don't have the book, Demons of the Flesh, try to get it, because I will be going over more of that next week, as well continue breaking down the chakras and expanding on more of the chakras from a left-hand path perspective, and how to work with it from a left-hand path, vampiric, Luciferian perspective. Okay? So try to get that for next week if you don't have it. Well, it depends on the system. Like, for example, this individual, right, who wrote this book, his teacher was Harish Jahari. And certain schools, yogic schools in India, some believe the concept was to begin at the crown and work your way down. Others believe that you worked at the root and work your way up. Okay? Again, you have variation in all these different traditions, all these different systems or methods, right? On a left-hand path, when you're dealing with the vampiric, you work from the crown down. But that's different, and I'll tell you why it's different. Because essentially, you work from the crown down. When you've done the work of conquering the weaker aspects of the chakras within you, the weaker aspects that you have about your chakras, you deal with that and master it. So then when you start really working it on a vampiric or left hand or Luciferian perspective, working from the crown down, it's a smoother flow of working, okay? The reason why they do this, let's say, in a vampiric Luciferian, is because you send the energy from your crown, the energy down to your root to help activate the red and black serpent, okay, that sits at the base of your spine, which is the Kundalini, and help rise it back up. So this is why in the vampiric or Luciferian, they deal with the crown down, okay, because you're actually sending the energy that you've accumulated in your crown down to activate the lower energy, the lower chakras, and activating the Kundalini, the serpents, dual serpents, rise back up, okay, where that's more of how we work it on a left-hand path perspective as compared to the more traditional right-hand path mentality. Actually, a lower Kush goddess is not red and black. It just look it, but it's actually, damn, it does look red and black, huh? This is actually navy blue, and red. Close, but it's actually navy blue. Close to red and black. So, yeah, that's a Fila shirt. If y'all have seen the Fila colors, you know it's dark navy blue and red. I think the orange background with the lighting is making it look black. So, yeah, but I have a lot of red and black clothes anyways. So, yeah. Any other questions, y'all? Yes, we were describing it earlier. When we speak about the dark side of your chakras, like for example, in the second chakra here, let's briefly go over it in a little more detail so you see what I'm talking about. The dark side of the second chakra, the issues and challenges, fear of engaging people, giving up your own desires and inclinations in order to please others, excessive need for validation or adulation, lacking purpose, jealousy, and envy. When second chakra energies go astray, its shadow side can appear in guises such as addiction, betrayal, revenge, or aggression. Aggressive sex can also come forth from a stray or block or unharmonious chakra, second chakra, which some people associate with the second chakra, actually takes place in the first blockage takes place in the root sexually, but it elevates to the second chakra where more of the sexual energy is stored. Where it actually takes place in the first, where it is animal behavior, and in the third, the realm of domination and control. This is where sexual aggression comes from. There can be possessiveness mixed with passion that shackles someone in the chains of another's desires and expectations regardless of their own feelings, wishes, and inclinations. A potential danger of second chakra is clinging so tightly to another, or one's image or expectations of another, that it stifles their chance to develop their own individuality. Which I said earlier, this is people who feel they need an authority figure, feel they need somebody to dictate or direct or guide their life. They're always giving their energy to their parents, they're giving their energy to their kids. Not that it's wrong, but they do it to the excessive point where you're not focusing on yourself. Thus, you're easily controlled or easily given off your energy of creating an imbalancement or unharmonious pattern within your life. Okay? So again, a potential danger of the second chakra is clinging so tightly to another or one's image or expectations of another that it stifles their chance to develop their own individuality. Somewhere in the middle of the continuum between opportunities and obstacles related to the second chakra are the many people who are simply shy or anxious about initiating contact with others. Great ease or difficulty in reaching out are opposite ends of one of the second chakra polarities, while middly shy or uneasy feelings about dating and mating are somewhere in the middle. The interest or disinterest of romantic partners or potential lovers can bring the validation that I'm hot stuff or the invalidation that I'm not so much. If the golden guy or gal that everyone desired goes off with someone else, you may go into a distressing tailspin or slump into a dark corner so that no one can see your feelings of disappointment. Out of your unfulfilled expectations or jealousy or envy, you may dive into a pit of hopelessness where revenge, depression, self-pity, or other dysfunctional thoughts, feelings, actions, and reactions sabotage your ability to find happiness. When you look within yourself and can't see anyone other than a reflection of the external person on whom you feel dependent for validation, you are trapped. Addiction, sloth, torpor, dullness, and listlessness can result. Your sense of self-worth falls into dark cracks of unhappiness. In everyday matters, toxic second chakra interaction includes thoughtlessness and expressions of critical or hostile feelings, often with little or no sensitivity to others' intentions or motives. So, that's just a little bit of what can block or create an imbalanced or unharmonious second chakra. Listen, it depends on your life. If you do a lot of spooky spiritual things, anyways, you do a lot of things like that, yes, your higher chakras can be open, but your lower chakras are blocked. So that means you're limiting the energy or flow of the energy throughout the chakras. That means there's an imbalancement. So it really doesn't matter if your third eye is open, if your root's blocked, there's not much that's you're really gonna accomplish by your third eye being open. There's a blockage and an obstacle. When that blockage is there, there's no smooth flow or harmonious flow of energy. So regardless how high you vibrate on the chakras, you're only going to go as high as your lower chakras determine, okay? And vice versa. It can happen. You can have higher chakras that are open. Your heart could be fully open. You can be fully open. You're just a loving, unconditionally loving person, but you still have blockages on a root or the sacral chakra. You have sexual blockages or hangups because of your perception or view of sex. So that can block your sacral, but your heart is fluttering. So now in your relationships, you're so unconditionally loving a person, but you have problems expressing your sexuality or affection towards that person. You unconditionally care, but you can't express it because your second chakra is blocked or unharmonious. You understand? So eventually that leads to problems in your relationships. And if your second chakra is blocked, then you're going to think when that person starts turning on you or that person starts showing disinterest in you, that there's something wrong with me. Although your heart could be fluttering with openness, therein lies the problem. All right? So you gotta remember this. People spend too much time in this conscious coon community worrying about opening their third eye, worrying about their throat chakra. Oh, I have to get this crystal for my throat chakra to express myself. No, asshole, you just got to learn how to talk. You just got to learn how to express your feelings and stop bottling up and holding everything. That crystal ain't going to do a damn thing for you. I don't care if you put the crystal on your throat and chant Om Namah Shivaya 20,000 times a day. You're still blocked because you still ain't learned how to express yourself. That comes from self-inner work, not a damn crystal putting on your throat. So, come on. This the stuff that people got to remember when you work with the chakras. Look, my boy Asar Gidi, okay? Some of y'all know him as Gay de Muerto. Some of y'all know him as Ray Moon. Different names he carried, different times for different schools of thought. All right? He used to be on Awakening Universal Mind shows with him. Me and him are real close. He used to have a nickname that we laugh about even to this day. When he first met me way back in 2009, 2010, he used to call me the Chakra Guru because all I used to do was work on my chakras day and night. That's all I used to do was talk about the chakras, work on my chakras day and night. That's what he used to call me. We were actually cracking up about that today. The Chakra Guru. Don't ever call me that, though. If I ever meet one of y'all, do not ever call me the Chakra Guru, right? God damn it. Anyways, so I used to spend day and night dealing with this topic. Like, I done read 1,000 books on chakras. But what I learned is after reading 1,000 books, what difference does it make if you're not doing the practice and the work after reading 1,000 books? I can tell you every damn thing associated with every chakra, every color, every negative and positive quality. But if you ain't doing a damn thing to actually do the work, and I'm not talking about external things like crystals and all this stuff, those are just added little treats that can help. But the real work that helps on your chakras comes from here, actually pushing yourself to do the work, okay? Which means facing yourself. Okay, you work on your root chakra and you find out that you have insecurities. Okay, you find out that one of your insecurities is you feel insecure in relationships because you felt insecure in your own household because your daddy was abusive because he was an alcoholic. So how do you work on this? How do you confront this reality? First of all, first thing you have to realize is you're not in that moment in time anymore. Second of all, you have to realize that your daddy's not a reflection of every man, or every man is not a reflection of your daddy. Okay? Now, it sounds easier than it really is, because if you were in an abusive household and your daddy would wail on people when he was drunk, then when you get in a situation where your partner tends to get a little loud or may seem aggressive, you're going to go right back to that situation. That moment that you go back in your mind to that situation is when you actually ritualize your life by doing the work on the spot, in the moment. You can do rituals all day and night in your altar. But until you're tested and put right back in that situation, you really don't know how much the work has either benefited you or not, and how much more you have to work if it hasn't benefited you. So you could be in that moment and your man or your woman got aggressive, a little loud, or a lot loud, and you have to, at that moment, stop. That's the first thing. Stop, 2, breathe, and 3, exhale, and 4, relax. And really listen to your mind and yourself and ask, am I reacting to this situation not just because of what this person is saying, but am I reacting to this situation because I feel like I'm back in the past in one of those daddy abusive moments? When you find that out, then you have to start to do the work. This individual in front of me is not my daddy. So although I'm cautious because they're being a little loud and aggressive, I have to first pinpoint my reaction, right? What's causing my reaction? What's causing my emotions, my thoughts and feelings about the situation? And then second, ask, is it me affecting them or them affecting me? Okay? Then what you do is you have to say, this person is not my daddy. So I have to find a way to stay calm, okay? Stay calm so that I don't escalate the situation, and listen to them out. And then in that tirade, rant, or whatever this person's going through, you will hear exactly what's bothering them. Once you zone in on that, then you know how to de-escalate the situation. And in the same process, you're confronting what you've always habitually done in that situation, and you start to overcome your blockages and obstacles because you've confronted it. All right? Exactly. So understand, in the moment, even when I'm speaking now, some of y'all may have gone back into a certain moment of what I'm discussing, what I'm talking about. Some of y'all may have gone back into that moment. Oh, I just saw what a Lord Kush Goddess wrote. Anyway, I'll go back and laugh at that later. But anyways, so some of y'all may be feeling what I'm talking about right now and actually having flashbacks to that moment. Now is the time, if you're having flashbacks to that moment, to actually reverse the process of, instead of you feeling you feeling vulnerable, feeling everything, to shift your mentality. In that moment you went back to when it occurred, you shifting your mentality from being vulnerable to feeling strong and in control. And that shift in consciousness, when you go back to that moment, begins a new programming in your mind, but it's dictated by you. All right? Damn it. The Lord Kush Goddess gave me a new name. Dark Chakra Occultist99. Ah, damn Negroes, boy, I tell you. Can't tell them nothing. Nothing without them butchering your shit. Yes, I choose to be happy. That's correct. Your mind will trigger certain moments to release these memories, for you to deal with these memories. At that moment is when you can actually change what occurred and change your reaction to how it happened, thus creating a new programming, thus assisting you in overcoming your habitual patterns, your vicious cycle, and mastering yourself. Any other questions? Any other questions? Going once, twice. So, well, I'll give y'all a minute or two to formulate another question. Like I said, next week or the week after, we'll go into more of chakras. We'll go more into the left-hand path of chakras. We'll go more into Vama Marga, the left-hand path of Tantra, and how it's all interconnected and related to the work that you're trying to accomplish. Okay. How does it feel like to have all your chakras working? Like you're a regular person. That's what it feels like. It just feels like you're more in control and have a more smooth, harmonious flow of your chakras. But just as quickly as you can have all your chakras working, as quickly that you can have one thrown off by any situation or event that occurs. So again, if you don't work consistently on your issues and problems, these things can consistently throw your chakras off. They will consistently cause disharmony of the flow of energy. So it doesn't matter that you reach a moment, oh, my chakras are working. Point is, life is a flux. It's an ebb and flow of things that are going to work and things that are not going to work. Things are going to be in harmony and there'll be disharmony. The point is, what do you do when things are not working? What do you do when things are not going your way? What do you do when things are happening and are creating the same habitual pattern from trying to creep back in? So understand, chaos is eternal. Chaos is always and continuously will happen. There will always be a time when your chakras are in flux and your chakras work in harmony. This will always be as long as you exist on the earth. Being a master does not mean all your shit is just floating, you're living lightly and fluttery, and all your shit is just golden light, and you just sit there like I'm divine. That's fictitious bullshit. Being a master simply means I've mastered the issues and bullshit about myself that if and when they arise, which they will arise because I understand how life works, I am in more control to master that action. Meaning, a certain event occurs and it's always occurred in your life, and you always reacted a certain way. All of a sudden, you start working on that situation and you learn to control it. You gain insight into it, awareness into it, where you learn to master or control it. Now, when it starts to arise, you have the awareness, you see it arising, you bring it back under your control. Okay? So you will feel some of those same feelings arising. You will feel yourself falling back into that situation, but a master is consciously aware it's occurring and brings it back under their control so that they don't react in the same old pattern of the past. Exactly, Brother Domingo. Some cycles are going to work more than others. It's that at times, just as you said, life is a flux. Life fluctuates. So it's how you deal with these moments of fluctuation that determines how much mastery you have over your life through the work you put into it. So don't think that you're ever going to just sit there and just be golden and divine and sit in the Himalayan mountains with your legs crossed and you're a chakra master now, and you got all this nice smelling oils, and you got the Rudraksha beads hanging down, your hair is all matted, you just a master, but you stink like all hell. And you all of a sudden leave the mountain and go down and you see this fat ass booty, and all of a sudden, holy shit, I'm thrown off again. I need to go back up in the mountains. Trust me. There's so many of these pretend gurus out here in this social media world, the social media world, that if you test them, they going right back up into the mountains to meditate about 10 more years, because they realize as much as they thought they mastered shit, they ain't really mastered it. Which is why in the left-hand path, we don't go that route. We understand that to really master your shit is to challenge yourself. And sometimes to challenge yourself is temptation is going to be involved, and you're going to let the temptation actually occur. You're actually going to invite the temptation in to see how strong you really are, to see if you've really done the work, or you're going to fall right back under the damn stupid ass shit And then you realize I ain't really done shit but pretend and lie to myself that I'm some spiritual master. I know, listen, people, I know some brothers who swore they were masters, swore they were just on some next level shit. They had the clothes, they had the look, they had the smell, the incense, they had all that shit, right? We in a circle, we building, this dude is just dropping the jewels, dropping the bombs, right? Here comes this sexy ass, big booty ass female walking down the street. He the first one, mind you, he the first one that goes like this. And then he'll make this the bullshit now. He'll look and then he'll say, brothers, can you believe what this sister's doing? How disrespectful is that? What you should say if you're in that circle, nigga, your ass is looking, not because you're trying to see she's disrespectful, because your ass got lustful. That's why you looking. So cut the religious super art thou holier shit and realize you still victim to that lust you have for that, bro. But I ain't trying to deny that shit. I'm working with that shit and flowing with that shit where your ass is in the mountains trying to be super spiritual, thinking that you're above that shit. And because she just want to have tight pants on and you couldn't help be distracted, but you over here lecturing to us. Nah, please. I done seen this shit far too long. I've been around this shit far too long to fall for that stupidity. Okay? That's right, brother. Fat booties, big breasts, curves, all that shit gonna challenge a brother. All of it is gonna throw us off. We'll go from being Chakra Guru to the Joker in about 2 seconds flat. I choose to be happy is not just you. It's about everybody. I can say that just about everybody in this room right now reacts to things. This is why we have to learn how not to be reactive, is to be proactive. The difference is reactive is being a reactionary creature. You react to everything because you have not brought yourself under control. Being proactive is being a person who's brought themselves under self-control. So you don't react to each and everything. You have control over your reactions. You have control over to what you give life to or what you don't. That's the difference. Okay? So you got to understand that concept. You have to understand that reality when it comes into life, that you can't run from the very things that you need to deal with by acting or running into super spiritual things as if that's going to help you deal with your weaknesses. Most right-hand path or super spiritual crap out there never helps you deal with the things that you really need to. What I mean by that is if you have a serious lust issue, like you just are a lustful person, you can meditate all day and night and really think that shit's going to transform you. It ain't. In rare cases, it will. But there's stories, and I've read some of these stories of these Buddhist monks who went into the monastery at an early age. And they did work day and night on overcoming all of these, what they call weaknesses of man, right? Your desires, your different things like that. They meditated, they did mantras, they lived the monk life, all of this. All of a sudden, they're out doing charity work, but most of the time they go into the communities and they humble and they beg. You know, they have a beggar's cup and people put money in there because they're monks. And all of a sudden, this beautiful woman crosses his path. This guy spent 15 years in a monastery, okay? And all of a sudden, this beautiful woman crosses his path. Next thing you know, this dude left the monastery and got married with this woman. Banging it out, having kids, the whole nine. I've seen movies on this stuff. Movies that straight from China. Okay, I've seen movies dealing with this stuff. Okay, books I've read about these things. And it happens more than people think. That's because they spend so much time on reaching such nirvana or spiritual bliss that they forget they're still human and living here on earth, that when these earthly things come by, it's going to activate those parts of us we don't focus on. All right? But on the left-hand path, we don't walk our path like that. We don't look at things like that. We look at things in reality. I'm a human being. I have a beast nature, and I have to unleash the beast to really understand myself. Okay? I have to unleash the beast with the purpose of indulging, but with control. Okay? That's left-hand path. That's Vama Marga Tantra. Okay? What is your most taboo thing? That's lawful. I ain't asking you to tell me something that's taboo, that's unlawful. Okay? I'm talking about something that's taboo that's within legal means. What is the most taboo thing that you have within you? Okay? When you figure that out, what are you going to do about it? Don't just figure it out and say, oh, that's my taboo, but, See, in left-hand path, I'm a Marga Tantra, they actually will partake in that taboo because they see the sacred in everything, and they realize that within that taboo is a means to reach a higher level of consciousness, because the things that are told for you to stay off limits from are some of the things you should partake in, because you will find sacredness to reach your higher state of consciousness within that taboo. That's legal. Trina. There's so many things you could do with that taboo, Trina. So many things. Okay? You especially, Trina, there's many things you could do with the taboo. You got the gift, you got the power and ability, but you're not you're idle. Okay. Can't say you're using it or not because I don't talk to you or see you on a regular basis. What I can say is this. From what you shared with me, you want to partake in the taboo, you just hesitate to partake in the taboo. What you have to do is find the best method that is beneficial to all involved to partake in that taboo. Okay? You have to find the best method for you, not for everybody, for you to receive the best benefit and for that individual or individuals involved. You, however, cannot keep realizing this taboo okay? Realizing this taboo and never doing something about it. You're there. You're at the cusp. You know what it is. You feel it. You desire it. It charges you up. It gives you ideas. You get fantasies. You get dreams about it. But now is the next step, Trina. Make it a reality in the best way possible for all involved. Now, that's as much as I'm going to say on a video. You already know you can hit me up and ask that on an email, but that's what I can say in the video. All right, my good brother Domingo says he likes to fuck a lot. Nothing wrong with that. The problem is, don't fuck to the point that you drain your sexual energy. You should only do it to increase your sexual energy. So it comes a fine line with when does it get to the point where you start depleting or draining your sexual energy, and when you stay at a point where you can revitalize, re-energize through your sexual energy. That's the part you have to figure out. Because anything in excess, and I don't care what it is, anything in excess is harmful. Okay? Anything you do in excess can become harmful. Always remember that. Okay, Tarak. If that's what you consider a taboo, making love with your partner on the full moon, then there's a way to do it. I'm not going to tell you on this video how to do it, But there's safe ways to do it. Trust. Okay? For that, I give you ideas in private on an email, but I'm not going to go into it on a video. Y'all ain't getting me in trouble. And then y'all point the finger and y'all partners or people, whatever y'all dealing with, say, oh, Ravana Noon told me. I ain't said shit. Okay, I was just checking. I'm just saying, some people that may be taboo. So, right, you know, everybody's different. But you have to find your own. What is that most taboo thing? Then find a way to partake in it. I know what mine is, but I ain't saying that shit on video. That's another thing. Some people like to have sex so much that they end up having multiple partners. That's dangerous. It's dangerous because each partner can be passing into their insecurities, their doubts, their issues, traumas, pains, bullshit. And if that person you slept with had multiple partners, then that's multiple partners that they passed into you. So you got to be wise about this shit, Charles. You just can't be like, oh, I got to fuck, and then just go buck wild, and then you just end up in a predicament. Yeah. So you have to be wise. You have to be selective in your taboo, and you just can't give that shit to everybody. Definitely not meant for everybody, y'all. People think that people on the left-hand path are just buck wild and go sexually crazy. No. Actually, in the left-hand path, you become more selective and less promiscuous than ever before in your life. It doesn't mean you don't indulge, you do, but you indulge selectively with control. And that happened. That's the difference. This is why some of these spiritual gurus on social media are promoting polygamy and all this kind of shit. Listen, nigga. Unless you grew up in that culture, unless you grew up in a culture or lived through a culture that was expressly, inherently polygamous, and you're doing it now, in this Western mentality, you doing it because your ass is horny. You just trying to do that shit in a cultural way to hide your freakiness, nigga. Please, cut it out. Exactly. You have to be more selective and extremely careful looking for the right energy. Exactly. So keep that in mind. Tarok Ultimate of all things says true, you will become more selective because all that you know, just like you say, you cannot go around fucking everybody. Exactly. You have to be more selective because the more you master yourself, something else happens in the process. The more you will love yourself. The more you love yourself, the more you value yourself. The more you value yourself, the less chances you take with yourself. The less chances you take with yourself, you honor your body as a sacred temple. You're not going to want to pollute and dilute that sacred temple with just anything or anybody. All right? Keep that in mind, Joe. Well, I'm going to close it off right now. I'll post when the next class will be. We'll do part 2 to this. We'll go more into the left-hand path on Marga. Kundalini, we'll go more into that. The reason I went back into this, I don't know, through my ritual work and dream work, it said this is much needed because we don't always go back to the basics. We continue with other topics, but if we're going to really work this left-hand path, we have to go back to the basics. Chakras, Kundalini, meditation, you know, things like that are basics. And you should have mastered these basics before you try to get into deeper, darker things. You should have really mastered these basics on your work. Okay? So this is why we're going back into it, but dealing it from the left-hand path perspective to more assist you to really harmonizing your life, your work in a consistent and better manner for your benefit. All right, so keep that in mind. So part 2 and part 3, we're going to go even deeper into this and deal with more taboo subjects, dealing with left-hand path, Vama Marga, Kundalini, things like that. No, actually, Tarak, let me put my email here so y'all can so you can hit me up, because I won't remember. Once I'm done with this, my mind, I try to clear my mind after doing these videos. All right, so I'm gonna put my video here. My email here for y'all to hit me up. Also, don't forget, all right, before y'all get off this video, to visit the website serpentcrystals.com. All right, do not forget to visit that website, serpentcrystals.com. The serpentcrystals.com is a website that's dedicated more towards working your left-hand path magic. Most of the tools are there. The website is dedicated for you to deal mostly with your left-hand path magic. So check out the website to get what you need to help you with the Vama Marga, vampiric, or anything like that. There's a section on that website that's dedicated to chakras. All right, so here's the link to that. Check it out. Get what you need from there. This is not like other websites and other occult stores and things like that. That's just vast and broad. This is more focused on dealing with the work of left-hand path aspects, whether it's using hoodoo, voodoo, whether it's using Vama Marga or Tantra, using a vampire, using Kemetic, is more geared towards that. So check it out. There's human bone powder if you want to do necromancy, vampiric work. There's chakra section there. There's ritual oil section there that has Kali oils if you want to work more Vama Marga Tantra, work more with the Kali demonic feminine energy like we discussed earlier. All right, so check it out. I'll see y'all again soon. Peace.